Live streaming is on.
Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to the Beyond Bitcoin Show. Today is May the 2nd. That's 2020. Those are two 20s. Strong hand. Unconfiscatable. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. Do not accept a new normal. Fitting in is overrated. Personal responsibility is a new counterculture. Offended by selling. All right. Hello, my elite friends. It's late at night in Los Angeles, but you know you get a new show here every day. Actually, there was an old show, and Andy Hoffman was on the show. It was earlier today. I had scheduled it before Shabbat. Anyway, before Shabbat also was Friday, This Week in Bitcoin. Tone Vase and Thomas Hunt. Best freaking guest in the space as usual on the This Week in Bitcoin show. It is linked to below. And of course, you can get everything at disruptmeister.com. Follow me on Twitter at techbalt, TECHBALT. So here is some great news. And it's from Apple. Hang on, before I tell you the great news from Apple, let me just make sure. All right, you see me there. Just testing a few things out here with the old Jitsi. Okay, back to your regular scheduled program. All right, so I knew, and I hoped at least, that people would not comply with this stay-at-home order, that people would go out and try to work or just try to entertain themselves in some form or fashion. It's not healthy to lock yourself in your house and not get any light of day and not get any exercise. So here is Apple data shows shelter in place is ending, whether governments want it or not. Bye-bye shelter in place. Hello reopening. Apple's mobility trends report shows that traffic in the US and other countries like Germany has pretty much doubled in the past 3 weeks. It had been down up to 72%. And location data provider Foursquare says that gas and fast food visits are back to pre-COVID-19 levels in the American Midwest. So, hey, the government really, not many people in the government, okay? They're not going to send an army out to stop people from going to McDonald's or stop people from driving their car or stop people from going to work. So part of this shutdown is all in your head. I have said it before. I am going about my regular business as I always have. I run, I walk, I'm outside every day. I don't wear a mask out there. I'm just living my life. And it appears that slowly but surely, especially in America, and it looks like in Germany too, people are going back to where they don't give a darn. They're going to do their thing. They're traveling around. They're doing something. They're moving around. Good. In motion. Okay, so let's talk. There were all sorts of anti-shutdown protests, especially on Friday. From coast to coast, I saw stuff out at Huntington Beach and in Chicago, in New York, and Long Island. So coast to coast, all over. It's in Sacramento at the Capitol. And I retweeted some of it. So hopefully you guys were following me on TechBalt over there on Friday. You can check out the archives, the Zoom, treat it as a blog. But here we go. Anti-shutdown protest sign compares Jewish governor of Illinois to chief perpetrator of the Holocaust. Okay, so yes, the governor of Illinois, his name is Pritzker. He is Jewish, but he is acting like a fascist. He is acting like Hitler. And so people trying to shame people, comparing Pritzker, you're not allowed to compare Pritzker to a fascist. Oh, yes, you are. Oh, yes, you are. Any race can be a fascist, okay? Don't let, just because a minorities aren't, they aren't innocent, okay? They can be bad people too. Treat people as individuals, okay? So as an individual, yeah, Pritzker is of the Jewish heritage, but he sure as heck is acting like a total fascist in Illinois, and they have every right to have signs comparing him to the ultimate fascist back in the days of Germany, Yamach Shmo v'Zikro. May his memory and be forgotten, definitely. Anyway, I forgot what the translation of Yamach Shmo v'Zikro is in English. Anyway, don't let anyone get away with being a fascist. Call them out. If they're a fascist, they're a fascist, all right? Don't let them guilt you, and don't let them hide behind some lame-o excuse like that. So, yeah, Pritzker, you're a fascist. Now, and I'm glad to see the people of Illinois protesting against that fascist. So, and again, the crowds were in parks screaming. I mean, there were crowds of people in parks in New York near NYU. What's that park down there? There were all these people in a park down there, and people are trying to guilt and shame these people. All these screaming Karens are going wild, trying to inform and trying to snitch on the protest, trying to inform and snitch on people hanging out in parks, but they can't. No one's helping them. It must be very frustrating for all you wannabe snitches out there who are trying to tell, who are trying to be informants, but oh, look, down near NYU, all those people are in a park. Oh, do something. And no one's doing anything. Good. No one should do anything. People should. Young, healthy people hanging out in a park, it's great. Young, healthy people protesting on the Capitol steps in Sacramento, it's beautiful. Young, healthy people going to the beach, beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. So keep doing it. And you screaming Karens, stop screaming. You're going to have an aneurysm. No one's going to help you. Get in shape. I don't want you guys having aneurysms. Get in shape. Go out. Get some vitamin D. So speaking, we were talking about Jewish people. I'm a Jewish person. I'm a proud Jewish Zionist, of course. And last week, at the end of this week, or not, Beyond Bitcoin Show. This is the Beyond Bitcoin Show. I hope I called this the Beyond Bitcoin Show at the beginning of the show. There's so many different names of shows. The One Bitcoin Show, This Week in Bitcoin. Welcome to Beyond Bitcoin Show, if I forgot to say that. So yeah, someone said in the last show, in the chat at the very end, and I didn't get the comment on it because I didn't see it, Adam is Zionist. So of course he is not fond of the blacks. Okay, so clearly this person has no idea what Zionism is. If he thinks you're not, that's not a shock. I mean, the people make up all these rumors about it. Anyway, Zionism, all it is Israel is the homeland of the Jews. That's what you believe. If you believe Israel is the Jews should go to Israel, that's their homeland, you're a Zionist. All right. Now, the funny thing is, this guy says Zionism is, I guess he thinks it's racism against blacks or something like that. The Zionists in Israel in the 1980s got so many black people from Ethiopia to move to Israel, okay? The Jewish people from Ethiopia, they brought into Israel. So, okay, and that was part of the Zionist enterprise in Israel, to bring black Jews to Israel. So that is Zionism right there. So this guy has clearly never been to Israel, never seen the Ethiopians, and these black Ethiopian Jews, they are big Zionists. They love the land of Israel. They want to get the heck out of Ethiopia and go to the Jewish homeland. Of course, who would want to be in Ethiopia? And as you can see, there are many illegal aliens in Israel from surrounding countries of Ethiopia, like Sudan. And there are many liberal Jewish people in Israel who are perfectly cool with illegal Sudanese Africans running around Tel Aviv. They're like, oh, whatever. And there's another rumor about Jewish people that people like to spread, is that Jewish people want these liberal Jews, that they're all for illegal immigration in the USA, but in Israel, no, it's 100% white Jewish. No, it's not. The communist Jewish people that are in, and I'm not saying that there are many liberal and communist Jews in Israel, I'd say the Jewish population is 5% communist, probably, or give or take. Is that high? I don't know. But liberals and communists and socialists or whatever, they just like in America, just like in Europe, they want illegal immigration in all those countries. So no, stop. You've never step out in South Tel Aviv for like 1 second, and you'll quickly see there are many illegal aliens there, just like there are many illegal aliens in Los Angeles. And people who are liberal and communist and whatever whatever religion they are, whatever country they are, they believe very similar things and allow the same things to happen to their country. So there you go. Okay, moving. Hey, it's Beyond Bitcoin. We're going to talk about such things here. Yeah, that's what you get. When you're in a Bitcoin overlay, you can talk about anything. Pound that like button. So now, we just spoke about Zionism. Now let's speak about some Jews. Now, not all Jews are Zionists, unfortunately. No. There are many Jews that hate the land of Israel. In fact, Satmar. You've heard me talk about the Satmar before. The Satmar are the Orthodox Jews that live in Williamsburg, part of Brooklyn. Okay. They got black hats. I don't want to call them Hasids. I don't want to give them that honor. But the Satmar are notorious. Well, first of all, they don't really connect to the outside world much. So they don't really know much about Israel, but they greatly dislike Israel. They have rallies against Israel, rallies against Zionism. I mean, it goes on and on. It's nonsense. And they do what their rabbis tell them to do in the Satmar community in Williamsburg. So I am no fan of Satmar at all. I've experienced them quite a bit. And just enough is enough. You can only take so much of Satmar. I mean, it's not like they would talk to me. They speak Yiddish. I don't know if they even know English, many of them in Williamsburg. But getting away from that for a moment, they had a little issue with Bill de Blasio had an issue with them, and so I'm not fans of Satmar. Okay, I'm not fans of what they stand for, but they had a funeral in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and they were hanging out in the streets, and they'd gotten permission from the city. And of course, New York is very paranoid about this virus. Many people, there are many screaming Karens there and such. And Bill de Blasio is a fascist. He's all sorts of things, maybe. He's a communist, an authoritarian. Let's call him an authoritarian communist. And so he wants control of everything. So he saw that, even though they were given permission to have their funeral, he went spastic on them. And even though the Satmar are like living in 1840, they're not on Twitter. They might have like one account on Twitter or something, but most of the Satmar, they don't, if they have a phone, it's like a flip phone, okay? They don't have access to the internet. Their rabbis don't allow them any modern things like that. But Bill de Blasio thought it was a good idea to tweet something about the Satmar, but he didn't call them the Satmar though. I mean, I don't know if he was trying to warn the Satmar or who was he, because it seems like he was trying to warn someone else here. I mean, maybe he wants to show to the voters that he's tough on the Jews, I guess. My message to the Jewish community and all communities is this simple. The time for warnings has passed. I have instructed the NYPD to proceed immediately to summons or even arrest those who gather in large groups. This is about stopping the disease and saving lives, period. So he sees the Satmar doing something he doesn't like, and he directs a message to all the Jews of New York. Hey, it's hilarious. It's hilarious, and so many of the Jews of New York blindly support him, of course, because they're Democrats. They're fools to blindly support this guy. So some of them they don't know what to do here. They're so liberal, like, oh my God, he clearly just said something that was just insane. To generalize the Satmar and to pick out the Jewish community as a whole because of something Satmar did is ridiculous. The bigger picture is that I praise the Satmar for having a funeral in the middle of the street. I think anyone, I don't care who you are, Muslim, Christian, whatever, in New York, go hang out in the middle of the street, whatever, do what you're going to do. It's ridiculous at this point if you're healthy. It's completely ridiculous. Step up and protest de Blasio. Now, they weren't trying to protest. These Satmar, they don't. No, they're not. They go with the flow, whatever their rabbi tells them. Maybe the rabbi told them that de Blasio is a good guy. They probably don't even know the whole extent of the nationwide panic that's going on over this virus right now. So that he is going to immediately arrest people in the middle of the street. He's going to go seek people out that are in large groups. I mean, this is like a police. This is a police state, is what he's threatening. So he's threatening. His message to the Jewish community is, I'm going to put you in a police state. That's what he was saying. He didn't have to direct it at the Jewish community. He could have said, hey, there were a bunch of Satmar in freaking Williamsburg. I didn't like what they were doing. Guys, I don't want you doing that. I don't want you gathering in the middle of the street. But he made a much broader and much more threatening statement that Satmar will never see because they're not on Twitter. But we all saw it, and it reveals quite a bit about the mentality of these leaders, what they think they can get away with. And he wasn't really able to get away with it because some of the liberals they had a fit over such a thing. Even they couldn't take that because whatever. My big thing is that if people want to gather in New York City, they should be able to gather. This is this police state, and so people. I notice that at these protests that are going on all over the United States, some of the screaming Karens, the informants on Twitter, are like, they brought children with them to this rally because they're trying to shame people for bringing children to a rally. The default shame pre-virus was, it's for the children, protect the children. It's so mindless to use that. If you're going to try to shame people about the virus, why are you bringing up children? No healthy children are dying because of this. None. No healthy children are dying because of this. It does not affect healthy. They might be catching it. They don't have symptoms. Maybe they have the flu or something like that. But it's not killing healthy children. A few children have died. They have not been healthy children. I mean, if you're, it's unfortunate. If you have a child who's a sick child, it's very sad. I feel very bad for you. But you're used to protecting your child anyway, so they don't get the flu. They don't get all sorts of things. If you've got a child who's immunocompromised or whatever, this is part of life. It's very sad. I understand. It must be devastating. I mean, you roll with the punches. You're in motion, and you love your child. But the big point is that it's not dead. The flu, the regular flu for regular kids is more deadly than this is. Okay, for kids, because this is not a flu. Remember, it's like a cold. It's a coronavirus. It's not a flu. Flu is not a cold. But so more healthy kids die from the flu than from this, because no healthy kids die from this. But we've got these ignorant people on Twitter that are trying to shame people. How could you take your kids out during this situation? Why not? Kids should be in school right now. It's ridiculous they're not in school. We already know the statistics. So do not accept a new normal. That's going to become one of my sayings. I love that saying. Somebody tweeted that out there, maybe more than a few. Do not accept. All these people are saying there's going to be a new normal. There's going to be a new normal. No, do not accept that. Do not accept that. Say, no, there's not. Now, unfortunately, there might be some jurisdictions that try to have a new normal, but the glory of the United States of America is that there are 50 different experiments here, okay? And so let the people speak. Some states will go back to total normal, and I will go to those states. And some will have laws that will be a little bit different. We'll see where the people flock. We'll let the people's, so let there be a free market of ideas out there. So the screaming Karens can go to the places that choose to have a new normal. But you right now should stress there will be no new normal. You will not accept the new normal. And this will convey the message to some of the states that are maybe and jurisdictions that are on the fence. Like, hey, there are people with money who are not going to accept the new normal. So let's keep it the old way and let's attract them. And again, I will visit the places where it's just as easy as the old days to visit, okay? I'm not, getting at some toll booth. Some guy's not going to prick my hand, okay? And do a blood test on me, okay? No, I'm not coming to your state if it requires something even half as ridiculous as that. So speaking about ridiculous and authoritarians and where I'm from originally, I'm in LA right now. But I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and hopefully I will be back in Baltimore on June the 1st to take care of some business. There's an article that planes in the air, of course planes are in the air, planes are spying on people in Baltimore soon. Baltimore turns to aerial surveillance as homicides continue. Starting Friday, the roughly 600,000 people living in Baltimore will be constantly recorded whenever they step out under the open sky. This is America. I mean, it's come to this. So even these lockdowns couldn't really stop the murders. It's personal responsibility, dudes. The people committing the murders should stop killing one another. I mean, it's that simple. But instead, now you're going to live under the whole city of Baltimore, because not all 600,000 people are committing murders. They're going to be spied on constantly recorded wherever they are. You can read the article below. I mean, this is a real thing. But you don't hear much about it because everyone's talking about the virus. I mean, that's a serious thing. Serious. Glad I don't live in the city of Baltimore under the watchful. And they said they've already conducted experiments with these planes before. They just didn't tell anyone until after the experiment was over. All right, let's see if we got questions. Someone said, pound that like button. You better believe it, dude. You better believe it. And Gary made a reference to the Ethiopians. He called them by their one of their names, Falasha Phalasha Jews. I forgot what there's two different type of Jews from Ethiopia, I believe. But that's definitely one of the names for them. All right. And right now, there's a lot of Ethiopian Jews in Israel that aren't working because they shut down all the restaurants. And I mean, hopefully, I think Israel's going to go back to work pretty soon. Unfortunately, I will not be in Israel. Finally, Airbnb allowed me to totally cancel all the Israel stuff that I had and get totally refund. Well, not refund. Airbnb, if you had Airbnb reservations made before a certain date, they gave you credit for future dates. So I have a lot of credit, and I plan to use Airbnb as soon as possible. But no, I'm definitely not going to be in Israel. This summer. It looks like the entire summer. Really, that's unfortunate. This whole panic had to happen. All right, but hopefully Israel goes back to work very soon. Hopefully America goes back to work very soon. And we're going to talk about different jurisdictions in America, because America's Montana isn't New York. Let's put it that way, and we're going to get to that in a second. By the way, everyone. One of the screaming Karens and all the virus panic mass movement people, one of the things they blindly yell is test. Well, okay, let's do our own test. Here's a test you can conduct yourselves to see if someone is a hardcore member of the virus panic mass movement, screaming Karen. If you suspect someone is a bootlicker, ask them what sex is Caitlyn Jenner. If they say female, I think you got yourself a bootlicker right there. Pound that like button. But there's a test you can conduct with the people who want to test. Just say, hey, I'm testing. You wanted me to test you? Is Caitlyn Jenner a man or a woman? It's just, I'm trying to see what your line of thinking is. But so you've got these people who think this guy is a woman, and they also think the sky is falling. This is the type of logic they have. Very interesting. So here's some good news here. And this is actually, this is from Carl Denninger. And he says, well, he shared this information that's been out since April 20th, but the mainstream media isn't talking about it. EVMS, I think it's Eastern Virginia Medical System Critical Care COVID-19 Management Protocol, developed and updated by Paul Marek, MD, Chief Pulmonary and Critical Care Medicine, Eastern Virginia Medical School, Norfolk, Virginia. And he has developed and has really fleshed out a treatment protocol for people who have the virus, okay? It has saved many people. But most hospitals around the USA, they're just throwing people on ventilators. This could save so many lives. This protocol this guy has developed is being ignored by the mainstream media because they don't want hope. This really could help a lot of people. So someone on the market ticker forum summed it up this way. There is a virus. 1, there is a virus going around. 2, it spreads easily. 3, most people who are infected do not get sick. 4, most of those who get sick do not suffer life-threatening complications. 5, the critical factor in COVID-19 deaths is hyperimmune response. 6, these responses are typically mistreated, resulting in preventative deaths. And so 7, the key to dealing with this situation is to adopt the correct treatment protocol, which is pretty much the opposite of what we have been doing. So this guy here in Virginia says he's got the correct treatment protocol, and and most of the time, the treatment protocol is completely wrong. What's being done in hospitals. So these heroes are just blindly doing the same thing over and over again. Now, it's a difficult situation when you have people that are 90 years old that are coughing up their lungs or whatever. But not everybody comes in like that. And hey, if people are so concerned about people dying, then why don't they change some of the treatment protocols all around the country? Okay, why not? Why isn't this publicized by all the screaming Karens? And you can read it yourself. You can see the detailed and what Carl Denninger is saying about it. He's getting very frustrated with the situation, to say the least. So let's talk about blind hero worship for a second. In Denver, a temporary frontline worker stands accused of stealing an engagement ring from a patient at an assisted living facility in Denver. who died of the virus. Prosecutors said Elizabeth Daniels, 29, also used the woman's credit cards to purchase a vehicle the day the woman passed away. Daniels faces charges of theft from an at-risk victim, over $500, identity theft, providing false statements to a pawnbroker, and criminal possession of a financial transaction device. So, guys, these nurses, they can be criminals also, okay? All right. A lot of them are just going through the motions. You're putting these people on pedestals like they're better than the regular human being. They're not. There's a lot of regular people, and some of them are using this situation to their advantage. Clearly, this one surely did. She saw someone die. She stole from them. What a hero. What a hero. All right. And apparently de Blasio didn't, I mean, whatever. He's going to pick and choose who he picks on. There was a big, the Jets flew, the Blue Angels flew over New York or something, and to salute the nurses, the medical professionals, and all of them started gathering outside in groups. He didn't threaten to arrest them. And he didn't make generalizations about them either. All right. Someone brought that up. Now, here is something from Neil Woodfine, who has been on my show before. Before we go that, let's go back to New York real quick. I predicted last week, the Democrats were screaming, certain Democrats were screaming that Trump is going to try to cancel the election. I said they'll do similar things. And sure enough, the state of New York has canceled the primary election. They're not going to have and that helps Biden. I mean, so say what you will, but the June primary has been canceled because of coronavirus. So they can cancel their elections, but then they fear, and so they fear Trump is going to do the same thing. I mean, it's going to happen. And the primary elections are getting canceled. All right, but it's a completely different thing to cancel the general federal election. Okay, it's not happening, but it's clearly what some people want. Okay, because some people are getting their way locally and doing so. Elections are overrated. But last week I did say we would see some elections getting due to the virus, elections being canceled. It's hard to believe, 5-10 years ago, if you said elections will be canceled, in the New York primary will be canceled, people would think that's crazy. But there you go. They canceled an election. I see elections are not sacred. Some people think politics is like the Bible or something like that. Nope. No, it's not. And so, yeah, you better believe that they can cancel the New York primary, that they can rearrange all sorts of things at conventions to make whoever they want. It's a private party. They can make whoever they want the nominee. And I still think they're going to find a way to get Cuomo in there. And there's actually another article about that I linked to below, about making Cuomo, ways they could get around the whole process, just canceling out everything that's already happened, canceling out all the votes that have already happened, and make Cuomo the president. But not make Cuomo the president, making the nominee, the Democratic nominee for president. And but again, but they'll scream, yeah, that's all right, but Trump is going to cancel. You better worry that Trump, because they say Trump is going to cancel the election as just an attack on Trump, so you vote for the Democrat. It's just the way. Has no grounding in reality. It's just to make people scared. Oh, wow. People trying to make people scared to make them do what they want. Oh, where have we seen that before? Everywhere. So Neil Woodfine, let's talk about him real quick. I'm beginning to realize that the term authoritarianism is a bit misleading. It appears the phenomenon it refers to is closer to something like propagandism, compliantism, mobism, or Karenism. Authoritarianism appears to be less about authorities violently enforcing their will top down on everyone, and more about the populace enforcing their emotional will upon ideological minorities, with authorities as the main beneficiaries. So yes, the compliant slaves are the free foot soldiers of the authoritarians. And they get their way through the screaming Karens, repeating the propaganda, being compliant, acting like a mob. authoritarianism is better described as compliantism or mobism or propagandism. So very good assessment of the situation there. We're learning a lot about what authoritarianism really is now that we're really seeing it face to face in all its ugliness. So good observation, Neil. He also has this great observation. Now I think he's from Ireland originally, right? And he's in Thailand. So, but he's observing what's going on all over the world, and he says, it seems to me that the U.S. is coming out of this as the only country in the world with a non-trivial portion of the population that gets it. And that's a good observation. All of the protests I've seen is from Americans, okay? So there are plenty of Americans that are compliant, okay? Plenty. But you don't see in Australia the protest. You don't see it in other countries. And you don't see many people from other countries writing about it as much as Americans are, encouraging people to and on social media, on YouTube videos, on Twitter, saying, "Hey, be defiant, don't be compliant." It's an American thing. It really, and I've seen Canadians. And I've seen some Europeans, but in terms of protest in those countries, you haven't seen any. And a lot of it, and then you hear these people. The opposite side is the Americans who try to vilify the brave, defiant Americans who bring their guns with them because in certain states, you can walk around with a rifle. You can walk around with I don't know the specific laws in specific states, but people go, "Oh, that's terrorism." No, it's perfectly legal for a dude. So I do wonder, again, if it's the Second Amendment that is the base layer that is making America the exception to the Western rule. If that is one of the triggers, and it's not for everyone, but I'm sure it has a lot to do with when we have a Second Amendment, we really can appreciate our freedom more so than they do in other countries, because they cannot fight back if things got really nasty in Australia. They don't have the power, the weaponry. So good observation on his part. And I'm an individual and everything like that, but I'm saying a lot of American individuals are stepping up, and maybe it's because they believe in they just despise collectivism so much. There's a lot of reasons, but you got to admit it's the Americans that are standing up to this more so than in any other country. So lead by example. Keep on doing it, dude. So let's see. There are a lot of people that try to guilt and shame all over this world, saying, "Oh, you only care about yourself. You only care about yourself if you want to go back to work. That's horrible to care." People should care about themselves, okay? Imagine a world where people really cared about themselves, where people actually took care of themselves. Because remember, if you care about yourself, you're going to take care of yourself, all right? Because we live in a society, personal responsibility is the new counterculture. Most people, they don't care. You're absolutely right. They don't care about themselves. They leave their health up to the government. They leave their health up to the doctor that they blindly trust. They leave their health up to what they see on TV. If someone's drinking a Coca-Cola, they must be healthy, all right? So most people have completely given away sovereignty over themselves, all right? They don't care about themselves. They don't care about their health. So if we actually, all these people trying to guilt people, like, you only care about yourself. My Lord, it would be great if people cared about themselves, all right? We'd be in a much thinner nation. This virus, a much healthier nation. Not as many people would be dying. There wouldn't be as many people that were panic-stricken. People would have that value that, it's good to take care of yourself instead of like, who takes care of themselves? It's good to rely on other people to take it. Let someone else wipe my tuchus, all right? So right now, the world is a clash between those who take personal responsibilities and those who are collectivists, who want central planners to boss others and themselves around. So again, there are people out there that are just like, no, why should you be able to make up your own mind on this and take your own chances? It should be up to central authority, central planners to boss everyone around, even if you don't want to be bossed around. That's what it's come down to here. So 55% of the deaths in Virginia for the virus are tracked to nursing homes. Then a headline out of Maryland. Nursing homes in Maryland account for just over half the deaths caused by the virus. We keep seeing this over and over again. Nursing homes, 50% of the deaths from the virus, at least. This is not. So if you eliminated that aspect of it, so few regular people are dying because of this. So if you threw your relative in a nursing home, I mean, this is what you get. This is the situation that's been. And I'm not going to talk about how Cuomo sent the virus patients to the nursing homes, and obviously that made it worse. All right, there's a lot of things. The point I'm getting at is that this, like most diseases out there, if it gets into places where people are already very sick, it's going to kill a lot of them. It's going to kill a lot of them. And there's so many people out there that are saying, you bring a little kid to a rally, your little kid is going to get killed. It's a complete opposite of that. It's nursing homes. 50% of the deaths are at nursing homes. And Dan Tapiero says, if half the country's deaths were in Montana, well, this is an article he tweeted out. This is a great title, guys. If half the country's deaths from the virus were in Montana, would New York shut down? Think about that. Because a lot of this shutdown was caused because of what was going on in New York. It's the media capital of the entire world. So certain states fear, they're like, well, we don't want to, what's going on in New York, we don't want to happen here, even though New York City is completely set up different than basically any place in the United States of America, okay? I mean, maybe Chicago's similar, all right? But Los Angeles isn't similar. Los Angeles is much more spread out than New York, okay? New York City. So Dan Tapiero says, the country is not New York City. Great point. New York State, I believe, has 50% of the total deaths in the whole United States. It's a big country, can open up low-risk areas to low-risk younger population. Must get back to work or risk permanent damage to the social fabric. I agree, Dan Tapiero. You're a logical, smart guy. He also says the pandemic was not the black swan. The response to the pandemic was the black swan. Unlikely to see such a response again in the future. One can only hope, Dan Tapiero. One can only hope, but I would not bet on that. I think maybe some states won't react the same way to the next virus panic. There's going to be another one. One can hope that we won't see something like this. I try to keep hopeful. Again, I say no. There will not be a new normal. There will not be a new normal. Put your foot down. Pound that like button. Be an adult. Take a stand against this virus panic. Okay. It doesn't mean being a moderate and saying, well, okay, well maybe you're right on that, and okay, maybe we should shut down for a little longer. Okay. The people in the panic prison, they're straight up saying like your kid is going to die and stuff. All right. So here we go. Don't be moderate about this. Say what you believe. Say the statistics. Say it's killing old people. Say we need to get back to work. Because otherwise you're wishy-washy. The side that has the conviction, you have conviction. And this goes with so many of the disagreements that are out there in the world today. So many people that are on the right side just try to be like, oh, well, I'll be moderate about it. I'll give them this. I'll give them that. And they keep on taking more and more and more. With this, no, you're playing into their hands if you are a little wimpy like they are. Because they're wimps in the fact that they're scared of nonsense. But if you don't fully, put it all out there on the table because you want to fit in, come on, dude. Fitting in is overrated. Everyone, I would be totally up if the United States of America, every state said, okay, everybody can get back to work like they were beforehand. And if you're scared, then stay home. Okay? That's not forcing anyone to do anything, okay? That's just going back to the way things were. And if you're scared, you don't have to go to work. Okay, then don't go to work. Deal with it. You deal with it. Okay, there's my stand right there. But some people believe, well, okay, well then this state should wait until July. There's no logic behind any of these dates. There's no logic at all. It's just governors who are scared. They're scared that the media is going to show someone who died and that's going to hurt them. Come on. Yeah, yes, the media is going to do that, but you have to do the right thing. You guys are sociopaths that are just trying to fit in, though. That's why you're in politics. Okay. And something that I thought of the other day, if in freshman year, if colleges are going to force kids to stay at home the next semester or all of next year, then don't pay to live at your parents' house to take supposed college classes online. This is your time to travel and to network. Okay, if you're a freshman, sophomore, whatever you're in college, no, just take a year off of college. If they're going to say no, you got to be at your parents' house. We're not having in-person classes this year. This is your chance. Don't pay the college. Use that money to travel. It'll be cheap to travel this year. There'll be someone should organize like packs of traveling college kids whose colleges weren't having real classes anymore. And you could make this a business. And there'd be certain countries that would like put out the red carpet for American college students to come there and spend their money. And it's, networking is part of the college experience too, by the way. I mean, I met some pretty cool dudes in college, and some dudes, in fraternities and stuff, they make lifelong business partners. So if you're not going to have that, the in-person experience at college, then you travel around the world and you make your own networks, okay? It's fun to travel, and it's cheaper probably to travel now than it is to pay $30,000 to take classes online when you're sitting in your high school bedroom that you were just in the year before. It makes no sense. You didn't change anything at all, except you're locked in your freaking house. Hopefully you're not locked in your house, but you got to look at a computer and pretend you're in college. So there's an idea for a business out there. Here is a reminder of, well, there's a lot of people, a lot of kids especially, are allergic to food like they never have been before. And I'm going to tie this all together because it's natural to go outside and it's natural to get dirty. But people have forgotten this, especially now. Now, during this panic, people are encouraging you to be especially clean, with the disinfectant, and not to go outside. And so let me read you this is from like a 2018 BBC article. There is no single explanation for why the world is becoming more allergic to food, but science has some theories. One is that improved hygiene is to blame, as children are not getting as many infections. Another is that vitamin D can help our immune system develop a healthy response, making us less susceptible to allergies. Most populations around the world do not get enough vitamin D for several reasons, including spending less time in the sun. In the US, the rate of vitamin D deficiency is thought to have almost doubled just over a decade. Hey, and so our wise authorities are trying to create another generation of kids that can't eat food. I mean, people who are getting vitamin D deficiency and thus their immune systems. So if you follow the rules and stay inside, you don't get your vitamin D, you don't get dirty at all, your immune system is going to get weaker, okay? And if you force your kids to do this, they could develop food allergies, all right? And you've got food allergies, that's serious stuff. People die from eating peanuts. They die. So we're if we follow all these rules the government is telling us, we're going to create more kids with peanut allergies that are going to eventually die because they're getting worse and worse, these allergies, worse and worse. And what's it because of, probably? Because people are not playing video games. They're playing video games all day. They're not getting vitamin D, and they're not getting dirty. They're just not playing anymore. They're not. It's sickening that we become. But this virus will only create more and more of this if you live in the panic prison. So think about that. Think about that. There's no, and people want to arrest people on the beach. It's the world. All right, Democrats this is someone I think left this on Denninger's forum. Democrats, I thought this was funny. Here's your joke of the day. Democrats 2020, a distillation of everything wrong with modern American feminism, in that 5 screaming hags are vying for the attention of one doddering old man, in an attempt to gain control and power through him, though they won't ever admit it. Pound that like button. All right. So I've told you guys I've been to Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Namibia, South Africa. You're familiar with that. Well, the countries of Zimbabwe and Mozambique, especially, could create their own. They could grow their own food. Okay, maybe not Namibia because it is a desert country, but Zimbabwe used to be the breadbasket of Africa. But I saw firsthand. I was in supermarkets in Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and Namibia. They get all of their food from South Africa, like all of it, okay? So right now they're having lockdowns in all these countries, okay? And in South Africa especially, there's a lockdown in South Africa. If the supply chain is disrupted in South Africa, which it will be, if this continues, if people aren't working, there's going to be a real bad problem in Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and Namibia, and any other country that relies on South African food. I mean, this could get, and how many people were really even getting the virus in those countries? And how many people were getting, more so, let's focus on South Africa. How many people really have gotten the virus in South Africa? And I don't know exactly what has shut down, but I know in the United States, we've had supply chain disruptions, okay? But we've got a robust system. And first of all, we supply ourselves with food. We do import some of it, but we're pretty much fine, okay? And I bet South Africa will be pretty much fine, even if their supply chain gets disrupted. It's what happens to the countries that rely on them. There's where you're going to get your problem, okay? And so if there are countries that rely on the United States totally, and there probably are a lot that rely a lot on the United States, if we have supply chain disruptions, they're going to be affected, these other countries. But I just thought immediately of South Africa when I was hearing about this supply chain disruption, a possibility. So we shall see if we hear in a few weeks, and God forbid it happens, that people are starving in Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and Namibia because of South Africa shutting down. It'd be a terrible, terrible shame, and it'd be much more deadly than the virus itself in those warm weather countries. And yes, the virus, it clearly has something to do. If you live in a warm weather country, it doesn't seem to be as bad, or a warm part of the. They'll figure this all out one day. I mean, it'd be great. Instead of panicking now, it would be great to instead just figure stuff out. But whatever. There's plenty of stats out there. And so the coronaviruses, we've lived with them before. We're going to have to live with this one. We're going to get immunity once we get it. But how long will the immunity last? All right. So I don't know the answer to that. Okay. I don't know. So I would be prepared for this thing. I mean, it would be great if everyone just got it and then it would go away and it would never come back in 2022 or something like that. But it could come back in 2022. I'm not saying it can't. And for this reason, this is a chance right now for everyone who is scared and everyone who thinks, I'm not in the best of shape and maybe I am susceptible to this. Get in shape. This is your warning. This is your wake-up call right now. All right? This is get in shape now. If you're scared of dying, you can make a difference. You can decrease your chance of dying of anything just by being a healthy person, just by not being morbidly obese, just by not drinking, just by not doing drugs, just by not smoking. Make those changes in your life, because there will be other diseases in the future that target the unhealthy. They all target the unhealthy to a certain extent. This one seems to be very much so doing that. But there are so many benefits of being healthy. And if everyone can learn a lesson from this, this is the lesson from the whole coronavirus experience. Be healthy. Work on your immune system. And then you won't have to worry about things like that. Then you could be in the healthy overlay. Instead of the Bitcoin overlay, be in the healthy overlay. You can pretty much tell Adam Meister's in the healthy overlay. I think it's insane when I see these people with the mask on. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And by the way, praise to Elon Musk. I talked to him about him on Friday's show, actually. He is now speaking up against this virus mass movement, this virus panic mass movement. Props to Elon Musk. I know not everybody loves him. I think he's an innovator, and I'm great. He's not trying to fit in. He's not trying to fit in at all. Let me just go check to see if anybody's we got Barefoot Barry in New Zealand. Okay, we got plenty of people. No, I don't know if there are any questions because I don't see there's a lot of people talking, but no one typed in my name or typed in you could type in a Jewish star or something to get my attention. All right, write all capitals. Okay, we've been on 51 minutes. Let's wrap this up in the next 15 minutes here. In Lithuania, and it's sad that in Lithuania and so many other countries, there's so many restrictions on like where you can set up a restaurant. Like you can't set up a table in a public park, and you can't set up tables on your sidewalk. But now Lithuania has decided, because of the virus, in Vilnius, has announced plans to turn the city into a vast open-air cafe by giving over much of its public space to hard-hit bar and restaurant owners so they can put their tables outdoors and still observe physical distancing rules. Hey, other cities should do that all over the world because they took away these restaurants' ability to make money by shutting them down. They should say, okay, now you can put your tables wherever you want to, outside. And so people don't have to worry because there's going to be a huge percentage of the population that is going to be scared to go out once this is over, okay? They're going to be scared to go to restaurants. They're going to be scared to go to a lot of places. So some places will have to innovate a little bit and do some things outside. But great, maybe farmers markets will be more popular. But still, we'll still have a small percentage of the population. There's so many people out there like, how dare you run outside? You're spraying. I can catch it outside. It's in the air. It's in the ocean. It's in this. All right, Candace Owens got suspended from Twitter for saying that people in Michigan, that 10 million people should go back to work because they can't arrest 10 million people for going back to work. And I say the same thing. They can't arrest 1 million people for going back to work. You just can't do that. So if people just ignore, because these edicts are not enforceable. If everybody goes against the edicts, the police aren't going to. First of all, most of the police don't even believe in this stuff, and or even if a large percentage of them don't, you can't arrest 1 million people. You can't arrest a 10 million. There's not room to put them all in the jail, and it just will look horrible. What are you going to bring tanks on the street and start mowing people down because they opened their store? No, you're not going to do that. So Candace Owens is on the right track, but she gets suspended for that. A lot of these social media platforms, again, they're private platforms. This is where the big boys play, and we have to be aware that for whatever reasons, people that work at these companies are totally in line with being compliant slaves to the government and want to help define what the narrative is. And if you have creative solutions, or if you have another way of looking at things, you're going to get shut down and suspended. That's unfortunate. But keep on speaking the truth. I mean, I've had my channel shut down. I'm going to keep on doing it. This fitting in is overrated, and I don't depend on these guys for my livelihood. I don't I don't depend on these guys for my worth. Okay, there's a lot of people out there. If they got kicked out off of Twitter or YouTube, they would feel suicidal. God forbid they feel sick. But everything they are is social media. And it's sick that some people have become that. It really is sick. But those are the people who are like, they will do whatever's popular on social media so they can continue their social media persona. Because it's become more, their social media persona, they value more than their real life. That is their real life. And that's kind of whack. All right. So bowing to politicians. This is someone typed this. And I want to say, you win if you don't change your behavior, okay? You win over the authoritarians. That's how you fight this. That is how you fight this. Just don't change your behavior. Don't let fear change your behavior. If you don't change your behavior, then you don't fear. That is a nice way of fighting back against the authoritarians out there. So if you were speaking the truth beforehand, keep on speaking the truth. Keep on going to work. Keep on doing what you're doing. Keep on running every day. Keep on going outside every day. All right. So this person said the scariest thing about the pandemic is not the virus itself. It's seeing Americans so easily bow down and give up their blood-bought freedom to corrupt politicians who promise them safety. Yeah, that is the scariest part of this, is that and I'm not scared of it, but the most disturbing part is to see how easily people gave up their freedoms that people died for just to bow down and to fit in. Is shocking. But still, in America, despite so many people doing that, we have the most people that aren't doing that are fighting back and are speaking the truth. So here's something called elite panic. What is elite panic? Disaster researchers call this phenomenon elite panic, when authorities believe their own citizens will become dangerous. They begin to focus on controlling the public rather than on addressing the disaster itself. So the leaders out there, they should be worried about, if there's such a big disaster out there, they should be trying to address the disaster. But what they start to realize is that the citizens are dangerous, and they panic, and they just focus on controlling the public with lies and with everything you see out there. What they should do is just say, hey, we were wrong about this. Do what you were doing beforehand. But they can't do that. So they panic. And they're not trying to, they don't care about getting people healthy again, because there are solutions to get people healthy. I mentioned at the top of the show. No, they'd rather just make sure that the regular people don't rebel against them. And I thought about some new BS bureaucratic positions and college degrees that could come about because of the virus experience. Someone mentioned this COVID-19 compliant business. People could have certifications. I'm a COVID-19 compliant business, and then they would have job openings for chief COVID-19 compliance officers. I mean, I'm sure some government agencies are going to hire that. We need our chief COVID-19 compliance officer. All right, yeah, we always know governments are going to run as inefficient as possible, so that wouldn't shock me. But how about some of these colleges that are going online, that are losing customers? They'll come up with like new, really easy degrees, like doctorate degrees in panic viruses and how to deal with pandemics. A doctorate in panic, a doctorate in panic encouragement, just ridiculous. They wouldn't actually call it that, but it would be like the study of shutdowns, how to properly shut down your economy, how the lockdown. I have a doctorate in lockdowns. I wouldn't be surprised if that's offered at some of these online. And you only have to pay us $50,000 a year, and you can get a doctorate in lockdowns. Oh, God, be a unique beast, dudes. So finally, it's dark in here. Finally, I forgot to mention this last week. When I was outside walking, some Russian girl hands me this thing. It's a flyer for Grub Kush. And it's your delivery of marijuana. We also, and they have CBD. They have all this. I don't even know what this stuff is. Do you guys know what this stuff is? It's like all this marijuana. It's like a lot of money. Some of it's $200, $180, $135. But these people know we've got all these 80%ers stuck at home who want to dull their lives away. And so they're handing out these flyers to anybody that walks by. I'm not going to give the URL. Minimum order $50, free delivery more than $100. And delivery otherwise it costs you $8. And yeah, I think it's pretty pathetic that this just gets people sicker, and it makes people more compliant. It's the potheads are not the ones being defiant. Okay, they are not the. So this, I guess, this is open because it's an essential business. The government's like, oh, why not? Why not let people get stoned so they don't fight back against us? I mean, this is what marijuana does to you, and all sorts of drugs. But this is like very professional type of stuff here. All sorts of, there's Gorilla Glue, Space Cake, Biscotti, Forbidden Fruit. These are all different types of weed, hybrid, sativa. I have no idea what any of this stuff is. I'm so proud that I don't know. Vape, you can vape. They want you to vape. They're just getting you sicker and sicker. And so these people who are going to get sicker and sicker, they're the same ones that are like, oh, I want to. It's no. You can't work because sick people like me are going to die of this. No, personal responsibility. You didn't have to do this. You didn't have to sit at home and do this all day. mess up your lungs even more. And I see a banner. I see a banner when everything is canceled except for 420. And there's a smiley face on it made of weed. And it's for a site called Weed Maps. I guess it's a site that shows you all the places you can get weed, legal weed. Again, this is all legal stuff. It's amazing that we've got this health crisis, but people are making themselves sicker, just giving in to like, why live a life? Why go back to work? Why I just should be stoned. And I heard some neighbors that I've heard before, just pretty not in motion type of people who are scared to go outside now because since the government said there's a shutdown and you can get sick on the sidewalk, they're not going out and doing their job like they used to. I think some of these people, I'm not going to name names or anything. The people I've heard was when the windows are open, you can hear all sorts of things. And I hear this one lazy dude offering another one, you want some edibles? You want some edibles? And the woman's like, yeah, I've been smoking a lot of weed since the lockdown started. Sure, I'll take some. And it's just commonplace. It's they have no one to blame but themselves. They have no one to blame but themselves for being unproductive. If they say the system is unfair, these are the people who complain about capitalism, the people who want socialism, the people who they put themselves into these positions. If there's a shutdown of the economy, that doesn't mean you can still be productive. You can still be a productive system. It doesn't mean just give up and do edibles and smoke weed all day and just go on a vacation, because you're never going to get out of that stupor. And I think there are plenty of people in power that would love for more people to be like those people that love this kind of stuff, that just are scared, senseless, and to dull the fear, they do drugs. All right, dude. So I did want to say that, streets of LA, they got this giving out this stuff. It's ridiculous. A lot of potheads out there. Oh well. Okay. All right, dudes. Have fun. I've done. The show is over. I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, Disrupt Meister. Pound that like button, bang that bell button. Check out all those. Check out the archives. Follow me on Twitter at TechBalt, TECHBALT, and I'll be back on Sunday because you get a new show here every day. And let me stop live stream. Thanks a lot. I'll say hi to you, dude.